Hey guys, how are you? Raphael from Qlik, and today, by request, we're going to create a dashboard from scratch starting from the press since it's the first time I'm using Qlik Sense here. The first contact I have with Qlik, I just installed it. Let's see how easy it is to do this. Well, you have your panel here, you just opened it, it's probably empty, there's no model here, and you have your data here in a table. You have your sales data here with the information, with your numbers, which you have already organized here in your spreadsheets. Well, you can create a new application here, put dash here from scratch.
Okay.
From the moment you create it, Qlik Sense will ask you for data to impute. Let's wait here for him to create the application.
Okay. Oh.
Okay, it was successfully created. Open the app. Okay, application open. It tells you here to add your data. You have the script option, which is a more advanced way, but as you are in the first contact, you may be using this other way he talks about, for you to drag and drop the resources here in the application. So, I go where I have this worksheet saved here, this worksheet of Company Y, it is saved in my downloads. I came here in my downloads, Company Y, I'm going to take it and drag it to the top of the application with the drop. Cool, after it recognizes that the application is Excel, it will tell you which spreadsheets you can be adding. These are the spreadsheets and data tables that you have inside your file.
Bon.
So I have all these columns here. If you don't want to accidentally add any of the columns, just remove the right one here. If you want to add more worksheets, you can add them by clicking here. All good? When you have a column where its name, its label, is exactly the same as that of the other table, the Qlik will automatically make the connection between these two columns so that you can use the data from both tables.
Bon.
In this case, we will only use Company Y, which is based on the proposal that you have a notary here so you can start making your dashboards and graphs. So let's go, next. After loading the data, you will fall into this part of the analysis.
Tá.
Analysis has a recognized sheet here on Qlik to get you started building your visualization panel. Very easy, very simple.
Tá.
Save your object. Here in the Save button, you come here in Edit, Sheet, Edit tab, Edit panel. Here on your left side you have your navigation buttons, for you to navigate between the fields, which are the fields that you loaded from your spreadsheet, master items. This here we leave to talk about in the next video. Graphics, and you have objects custom, which are graphics in addition to the Qlik pattern, okay? For today's video, as it's the first contact with a Qlik, we'll be using campuses and graphics so you can make your first dashboard.
Tá.
Initially, we usually start by making the dashboard part starting with the filters, which are the data that people want to filter, which is the quality you want to see during a certain period or a certain type of filter. They are usually dates, so let's put it here first in the graphics part. First the filter. You see the filter panel here, just drag and drop, it's very simple. After dragging, you click here on your chart, you have your chart options here on your right side, okay? Data, classification and appearance. This editing panel here, you will have it similar for all graphs. Depending on one graph or another the options differ a little, but everything is very simple to use. So you drag and drop a panel here, you simply adjust it to the size you want. In this case, as it is a filter, I will drag it here at the top.
Bon.
So, in my filter, my clients, my internal clients, bosses, partners, directors, they will want to see the information here by year, they will also want to see the information by month. So I clicked here on the graph and double-clicked the field.
Tá.
I can either click or drag here, it also comes, okay. And if I want to delete it, then I just select it here on the right, with the right button and delete. Oh good? But I'd already have the year filter here. For example, there's some information here, delivery date, delivery order. I'm not going to touch that for now, I'll want them to be able to filter the month, okay? And I'm going to want them to be able to filter by order date as well, when a certain sell order happened. So I have here the year, month and date of the order. Can you see that the order date field has an underscore here to identify the field? That's how my header was there in Excel. Here I can change that title. When you click here on the chart and click here on the field, you open the options for you to change it. You have the functions part, which we'll get to later. You have here the title or label part, as it is in Portuguese. You can put here date, sales order.
Tá?
To be clearer when understanding what these filters are on your dashboard.
Tá?
All information here pertains to the sales order.
Tudo bem?
So we have here the year, the month and the day. Here you have the option to sort as well. You have the option to sort here by year, month and day. Here you have the option to sort as well, so you have the option to sort here by year, month and day. You also have the option to change the classification, which is not the case here for this type of filter.
Tá bom? Então,
Here click Done. When I click up here, I already have the options here to filter myself.
tá vendo?
Year, month, and date of the sales order.
Então,
Let's take a look here at the graphs that we have to start our panel. We usually start with KPIs. Here we have gauge, bar graph, line graph, pie, map, and so on. Table that is pretty conventional too. So normally the most used, I believe that 80% of the panels have the most used as KPI, which is the graph with total integer, bar graph, and line graph. These are: you only use pizza if you have 5 dimensions where you want to show proportionality, but a maximum of 5.
tá bom?
More than that, the pizza is kind of weird.
Tudo bem?
So come on, we can start here with the KPI.
Ó,
On Qlik, for example, I want to display 4 types of KPI. I already know that my KPIs are going to be up here, and I know that they are going to occupy these 3 lines on the screen. We can drag and drop all the keys here to form the mockup, the panel model.
tá vendo?
It already automatically adjusts the layout, and then you drag each of the graphics up.
Tá? Legal.
You have the adding measures part, or the measures, adding measures. To add measurements to the panel, you can click here on the chart, drag the column or double click on the measurement you want to show.
Então,
So, effectively, what my internal customers here want to see, they want to see revenue, billing. Well, I'm going to click here on the recipe, double click, add the measure, and they want to see the sum of these billings. So, it's giving the sum of revenues, it's giving billions here. A 35, 1G, which are G here, or billions, okay. It is possible for you to change the lyrics, but we will see this later in other script classes.
tá?
Here in the formatting part, you have this automatic part, which leaves a decimal point in the letters that are K for 1000, M for millions, and G for billions. Then you have the numerical part here, where you can leave it as a number. You can format it here as money, date, duration, or custom.
Exato. Então,
So just the measurement expression. Usually here we leave number or automatic. Generally the automatic is noticeably better because you only have a few numbers to see, you have less numbers on the screen and a better summary to be able to see that part.
bem,
So here on the label I'm going to put it as a recipe.
tá? Eu tenho esse,
I have this revenue KPI. To be able to insert the other measures in the other KPIs, it is the same way.
eu posso,
If I want, I can get this KPI, click on it and paste it.
tá?
I repeat the measurement. In order to replace the measure, I can put another field here. For example, sales amount.
Né?
They also want to see amount of sales. So I'm going to drag it up, add measurements, I'm going to put it here, add up the amount of sales. So I have here my sales amount on the side, 508 million. And the recipe here doesn't matter to me anymore. Then I can delete it.
Não, deletei.
I deleted it, the amount of sales remained.
Tá? Vou colocar aqui, ó. Quantidade.
Sales quantity. Another way to insert the measure is to use the expressions, okay? These are the functions that you can add here as your QPI grows. So I'm going to copy the recipe again, and for example here in the measure when you click on expression, so you have the function, you see. You have the sum function of sales quantity, and here I want to put my average ticket in relation to revenue.
Então,
So I can click here on the expression, I have the sum amount of revenue divided, then I can put the functions here. Sum, then I will put the field that represents the amount of sales. Open the parentheses, close the parentheses, put the arguments I want, and here you have another way of putting these measurements.
tá bom?
Here in the aggregation, you have the functions that you can put. They are aggregation functions, and in addition to these aggregation functions, you have several other functions here that work at the line level, aggregation level that can be explored here in the Qlik panel.
Bom,
Let's apply it here. We already have our average ticket here. So average ticket. Okay, and here, as another measure, we can also see the costs related to what was billed.
tá bom?
Here we have costs and profits too. So I'm going to put the costs here, make the measurement here, add the measurement, sum of costs. I put it here, costs. And here in costs we have 95 billion.
Tá bom?
And we can also change the color here in the appearance part. If we look here in the side menu, we have the appearance part. Here in appearance, we can place titles here on top of the panel or footer.
Tá?
I'm going to add a title and a footer just so you can see where everything is, which is the letter C.
Ó,
Title, subtitle, and footer.
tá bom?
Here we managed to add an additional calculation option also to be informative within the KPI. For example, comparisons with last month you can put in the footer, if you want, with a little arrow up or down. That also helps a lot.
Tá?
We have the presentation part here, just for KPI alignment, left, right and center. This is for this type of chart.
Tá?
And down here we also have the color part.
Tá?
Here we can also link, it has the font size, if you want large, medium or wide. And here we also have the size of the color. See? Color size. We have the color option, where we can put conditional colors or fixed colors that you want for the Esquipiara. For example, the Esquipiara here is a cost, so I'm going to give it a more reddish color. A different color, how much is it costing, and it's something I want to change, it's something I want to work on my costs. It's okay? Cool, now we can make an order with my graphics here. I'm going to create a bar chart here, and in this bar chart I'm going to want to see the revenue by type of products, by the types of products that I have here. I have my type of item here, I have my type of item. I drag it up. I add and now the measurement. I can put the recipe and type of item here, sum of recipe, and here I have my type of item, see? I'm going to put here my recipe, and here is my item type. This here is my dimension. The dimension is the qualitative.
Tá?
The mensuas, the medidas, is the quantitative. It's what I can measure through my dimensions, through the qualitative. I'll put my item types here. All good? Here in the graph you can see that home use is what generates the most revenue, which is bringing in the billions here, and you have the appearance part here as well. So here, in appearance, we can measure and change differently. You can see that this bar chart has different options than the QPI chart. So here in the bar graph, for example, we can put a title to make it very easy for people to understand at first glance what this graph means. This chart means revenue by item type.
Tá?
If you want, you can place it horizontally or vertically. You have the option here of putting values on the labels. You have the option of min chart and other things, but putting values on the labels, if we put values here on the labels, we no longer need the value here on the y-axis. You might be hiding the y-axis labels, leaving just the title. Title only.
Tá?
Which is the revenue information. And you have just the title.
Tá bom?
Here we have toe tip 2. Toe tip is the basics.
Né?
These are the measurements here that you place the mouse over, see? It appears here, the recipe, when you place the mouse over it, and you can add more measurements for it to appear when you place the mouse over it. So, for example, I also want to see, in addition to the basics, I'm going to focus on toe tip. In addition to the basics, I want to see other measures such as profit. So I have the profit measure here. I am giving sum of profit here. I'm going to put profits here. Profits. Same thing, we have the automatic formatting that we can manipulate, and now I have one more measurement being displayed when I place the mouse over it, see? The revenue and the profit are the same. We can put it for each item as a comparison with last year, this type of observation, okay? What we can do more here is also, for example, you can place the graph for it to change dynamically. In the case here I have revenue by type of item. Here at date we have part of alternative dimensions.
Tá?
What are these alternate dimensions? They are objects that I can be changing to use the same graph with the same measure. So I want to see it by federation unit. So my federation units I'm going to drag here to alternate dimensions.
Arrastar não, né?
I'm going to click here on alternative dimensions. I'm going to type the F here and it will enter here in the field of alternative dimensions. The same thing goes for the measure. We can also put alternative measures. This creates an option here for you to change the axis, see? Then I switch to federation unit and here I switch to item types.
Tá?
Easy, simple, fast.
Tudo bem?
And here I might be creating another graph. So we're going to be creating another comparison chart here. For example, I'll be creating a scatter plot chart here. Here's the comparison chart of measurements. Where in the dimension I will be measuring, I will also be measuring the type of item. I'll click here to add dimension, item type. And I'm going to click here on the revenue and cost part. For us to have a revenue and cost ratio by type of item. Add measure, cost. Sum of costs. Okay, so here we can see in the amount of sales. I'll put the amount of sales as well, which is a third measure that we can also observe in this type of graph.
Tá bom?
I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put revenue and costs by type of item with the amount of sales now. Look at the following when I put the mouse over it. I can see here that office supplies bring me more costs and less revenue than this other little ball here. In this other little ball of domestic use, the category of domestic use, I have more recipes at a lower cost. And I also have a larger amount of sales. Consequently, the profit of this department here is higher.
Tá?
Me does too. Meat, for example, I have a very high cost. So, when you see the line here, you can draw a line here. You see that the materials that come up in cost are something that you have to lower in cost. And the materials that do not add to the recipe, you may want to increase the recipe.
Tá bom?
Another thing is your filters. We did not apply any filters. The filter is also very easy to tinker with here. For example, if I want to filter a year, I'll be impacting all charts. So I will be filtering here 2019. 2019, we are in the world of 2019. Now all the numbers you're seeing here on top of all the graphs refer to the year 2019.
Tá?
The filter makes you enter the world of this already filtered data.
Tá bom? Então você tem aqui o ano de 2019.
But I also want to see the year 2019 and I want to see only a certain month, just January for example. I'm going to click here in January. I'm seeing all the numbers, only for 2019, only for January.
Tá?
What if I want to see a certain day then? So I want to see 3 days.
Tá?
I can click here on the 3 days I want to see, as well as pick it up in random order, click, drag and go to the side.
Tá bom?
I click on the little blue one and I have my selection made. So I'm seeing these days of this month, this year, okay? I am within these dates here. If I want to clear the filters, just come here and do a clear selection, okay? So here you have already built your first interactive dashboard, easy, fast, in a few minutes. It was less than 10 minutes. You managed to make this interactive little screen so you can play with your numbers there in Qlik Sense and already build something practical, for the fast use. So you already have the information and immediate answers in case of a meeting, in case of doubts, questions, you already have the answers like that, very quickly, being able to filter everything dynamically and having the numbers automatically. It's okay? So guys, thanks to anyone who's watched the video this far. Subscribe to the channel to follow the next videos. And for those who are already students of the Qlik Science course, we talk there in the student group to continue our learning. Until the next, it cost.